Welcome to One Media, forum for your benefit and knowledge. We will try to share the latest developments and analysis of our experts who are with us in this episode. I am Herman Tiu Laurel, your host, and I have been with One Media, formerly GNN, for the past 10 years. And I'm very glad to be back again. Our guests for this episode, we have three segments in this episode. On power, water issues, and global and Philippine developments. First of all is senior. I don't know who is more senior, but they're both white-haired, so equal na. Ano?
Yes.
Una-una si Ginoong Jojo Borja. He's an investor in Iligan Power and Light in Iligan City. He is a power consumer protection advocate.
Yes.
You know? And he has been struggling against the issues on Meralco, or he's been struggling on these issues against Meralco and the power companies for the past 20 years, almost 20 years. You know? Rod Kapunan here is a renowned columnist of the Manila Standard. He is with us today also because he has a current, in fact today, it came out, his column on the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines and the issues surrounding it. He has an in-depth understanding of the issues which we will discuss. But we will start with first congratulating our athletes in the latest Southeast Asian Games. Itong nakita naman natin yung mga panalo po ng ating weightlifter like si Heidelin Diaz. Let's show our images, and then that's Heidelin Diaz. We seem to have missed the image of Agatha Wong. Agatha Wong, let's start with Agatha Wong in Wushu. And Grandmaster in chess, Eugene Torre, won gold for us in chess. Philippine chess team wins gold, silver in Southeast Asian Games 2019. So this is a very proud moment for us Filipinos, and aside from the successful hosting of the games itself. However, as usual, there are elements, the crab mentality, the crab elements in our society, like Raisa Robles, who crabs about our win. Sabi niya, we have very good choreographers, etc., etc. They could have been tapped for the Southeast Asian Games. Putya, sabi niya, parang nanonood ka na lang ng perya and so on. And she even posted a comment that maybe we have so many goals because we are, or somebody is manipulating the Southeast Asian Games. I have to bring this out because all these naysayers, these nattering naboobs of the opposition, of the anti-Duterte elements, and very often they're also the anti-China elements. Just try to cast negative images of the Philippines. Let's move on. The International Criminal Court, this is a big news, important news because it lends insight. Bibigyan tayo ng kaunting aral nito. Na itong final nitong si Del Rosario at ni Morales several months ago, laban kay President Xi Jinping daw ng China, yung mga krimen daw ni President Xi Jinping, binasura po ng International Criminal Court. What is our lesson here? Our lesson here is that these, so-called respectable figures like Del Rosario or Justice Morales have other agenda, and they put these actions of theirs in media just to create controversy, create tension, try to cast aspersions, but it really does not lead to anything. Why do we have to learn that lesson here? Because they are repeatedly used to distract the public from the successes of this country, from the progress of this country, and from focusing on the real, concrete, positive, and constructive issues about ourselves and our society. Later on with Mr. Rod Kapunan, we'll discuss an issue that has come about the past 2 weeks for no good reason. And this is the allegations that the China Grid Corporation, which is 40% of the National Grid Corporation, can turn off the national power grid. And we will dispute that, and we will show why it is not so. But there's the report. I think our guest traced this report to an American source later on. We will explain it. But let me just make the point first, which we will discuss again later. Pag-usapan natin ulit mamaya, na any superpower can try, and sometimes they can succeed, in shutting down through cyber attacks the power grid of another country. Like our next report, of course, the NGCP first has denied that this can happen because they isolate the system. It is not connected to the internet, for example, so it cannot be cyber hacked, and so on. They have a lot of necessary precautions. Nobody can enter the control room without proper identification, and it is Filipinos running the entire operation. So you can read the reports anyway. We're just guiding you towards them. Now, the fact is, the superpowers have the technology to shut off, and they have the technology to defend also from attempts at shutting off their power grid. But this is just one sample that we will show next of what the US and Russia are doing to each other. They are testing each other by attacking each other's power grid. These are highly developed technological powers, yet they can still attempt to attack, and they can succeed if the defense is not ready or that formidable. That is a lesson that we must understand, because our power grid, we depend a lot on our electricity for a lot of things. Now, the Chinese company here is only 40%. They don't control the company, the National Grid Corporation. And for me, I will argue later with our experts, it is the best arrangement where you have the Chinese here, because the Philippines privatized it in the first place. And as always, as in the rest of the world, China provides a lot of the cheapest, low-cost equipment with superior technology. As we can see, even in Huawei, in the Huawei case, the US has been trying to suppress it, but Huawei has come out very triumphant. We will have more details there. But there's just a warning. All these issues, including the other issues we will discuss there, often does not come out in such papers as the Inquirer or Philippine Star. I will give you an example why. We must keep in mind that the Philippine Star is already owned by Manny Pangalinan's group. And now he has a new columnist, the Philippine Star has a new columnist, Mike Toledo. Mike Toledo is the PR, one of the many PRs of Manny Pangilinan. So how can you rely on such columnists to have objective views on issues that involve his boss? This is just an insight. There are other personalities we will expose in every episode that we have. It is only here that people like Jojo Borja has been appearing to lambast the power companies in their exploitation and abuse. Okay, let's move on for the other developments. Again, there's this news item recently that 7 out of 10 Filipino workers worry about Chinese workers in the Philippines. First of all, there is no conflict because the Chinese workers in the POGO, the online gaming, are all Mandarin speakers. In fact, the IDSI, the Integrated Development Studies, have shown that the Chinese investments here and even Chinese workers here generate more employment for Filipinos, because if you have 1,000, let's say a few thousand or a number of thousands of Chinese workers here, they will need lavandera, clothes washers, restaurant service cooks, and so on. Taxi drivers have increased income. because the big earners among these Chinese workers in the online gaming operations tip very handsomely. We can discuss this also as a particular topic in our future episodes. Again, in this world that we are in, the Philippines is caught between the struggle of the U.S. to try to contain China, but China is such a big assistance to Asia, Africa, Middle East, and the rest of the world. But the U.S. continues to try to put pressure on China, partly in relation to the trade talks. Last week, in the first week of December, or no, last week of November, the U.S. passed Hong Kong democracy and human rights law to sanction China and Hong Kong according to this law for violations of human rights and so on. This week, they passed a law on Xinjiang and sanctioning China again. But what is the truth? After the terror attacks in Xinjiang 10 years ago, there has been growth. China's strategy is economic upliftment, development, and vocational training for the Uyghur population that may be jobless and so on and so prone to radicalization. I think we have some headlines there. No? 10 years after Xinjiang riots, China pushes growth stories. No? And the truth is, more Muslim countries support China's policies and strategy to solve the terrorism problem that other countries have not solved. The next image shows that Saudi Arabia, Russia back China's Xinjiang policy, and in fact, Pakistan, one of the largest Muslim countries, also back China. But if you read the Western press, it's as if there is no support for China here. So we have a listing of the countries for and against China on this issue, but this is just to guide you if you want to do more research. Okay, we have 1 or 2 minutes left. Maybe you want to react to any of the issues very quickly? Any? No more.
Mine is electricity.
Again?
Mine is about the good
electricity.
News
Yeah, we will go into that in our second part. Okay, let's take this break. Okay, this is the second segment of our discussion on power, water, and all these public utilities issues. We'll show you the first headline and then proceed to our discussion. Two headlines, actually. First, what did President Duterte say? He said, they are screwing us. Can you show that? Who is they? Are you ready with that? Okay. They're screwing us. Duterte slams Ayala and Pangilinan for allegedly onerous water contracts. What are these contracts? These are the privatization of our water utilities, now under the name of Manila Water and Maynilad. Now, the issue has come about because Manila Water wants to charge the government for 7.5 billion owing to the water contract violations the Ayalas allege in the power rates that petition of the Ayala. Hindi daw pinagbibigyan yung mga power rate petitions ng Ayala dahil nandun daw sa mga kontrata and so on. The problem is all those contracts were done under the globalization of America, where the corporations are given the chance to sue the state or the governments when their rate increases, applications are not automatically given. And then this is brought to a foreign court. This is a violation of Philippine sovereignty and violation of the general welfare of the population. And that's what President Duterte said, our second headline. The Philippines surrendered everything to Maynilad and Manila Water. And most important, of course, yung interest ng publiko para sa mababang rates. This case also reflects on problems we have with our electricity rates, which is the highest in Asia very frequently, and comparatively to the economies, always the highest in Asia. Okay, that's why we have both Mr. Jojo Borja and Mr. Rob Kapunan with us to discuss this. Now, this is water first, no? So we were also inviting RJ Javillana, the founder and the leader of the Water for All Reform Movement, WARM, W-A-R-M. But he is in Baguio today on a business trip, so he cannot join us. We wanted the phone patch, but maybe in the future we'll have a phone patch. But RJ Javillana has been opposing all these shenanigans of Manila Water and Maynilad. Now, we have a short clip because we have been discussing this many years already, and this is a short clip of RJ Javillana discussing the issue of water and the problems with the high prices and the abuse of Ayala and Maynilad. So let's roll. Status nung motion ng OSG at ng ERC. Kala ko na-deny na yun o anong update?
Yun nga po yung nitong linggo lang na ito o nung nakaraang linggo ay gumalong nga itong Energy Regulatory Commission na humihingi sila nitong pagsuspindi, no?
Ayaw nila ng competitive bidding.
Ang ibig sabihin lamang po nito ay imbis sila ang tagapagtanggol nating mga power consumers.
They are under regulatory capture.
Kaya kung ako po kay Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte ay dapat tignan niya po itong issue na ito dahil daang bilyong piso po ang nakataya sa issue ng competitive selection process. Maring umabot pa ito ng trilyon dahil ang pinag-uusapan dito hindi lang 7 kontrata, kung hindi mga 102 contracts po. 102 contracts sa buong Pilipinas.
At saan manggagaling yung trilyon-trilyon? Sa bulsa natin.
Okay, so actually we've been discussing these issues for the past 10 years. And even before we had our program with GNN, which is now One Media, 1998, nagpe-petition na kami kay Senator Nene Pimentel na tigilan na yung privatization. And 2001, yung EPIRA, we tried to stop it. Okay, so sa electricity, this fight has been going on for 30 years. And we would like to take this opportunity when President Duterte is already championing the cause of fighting the power and water oligarchs to remember one of our icons that started us at that time, 20, 30 years ago, as young people in fighting this abuse of our power and electricity. This is Magnaro Luwalhati, who passed away several years ago at the age 99 or 94, different versions. No? Yeah. And these are our interviews with Magnaro Luwalhati.
Yes.
Only the distribution.
Only the distribution.
Not the generation and transmission yet.
The cost is 50 and they charge you more than 150. So the profit is 1 peso. And the ERC approves that.
So, in other words, we could, if they charge 60 centavos, that's still profit of 10 centavos. That's still billions.
Yes.
How many billions profit is that if it's 10 centavo profit? It's still billions.
That's 2 billion. That's 2 billion.
That's 2 billion.
Yeah. But they charge us to 1 peso more than 2 pesos. So their profit is more than 25 billion.
That's just for distribution.
Yes,
we're stressing that. But these same people also have independent power producer companies.
Yeah,
that they say are not connected, but actually they're making profit there too.
Correct.
And downstream, they also have subsidiaries that maintain, collect, and so on.
And supply.
Materials and other
power
stations, transformers, and so on. Okay. So, Jojo, reflection mo on this and of course the decision that makes us very happy right now.
You know, in 2011, kasama kami he started it earlier. I came, when it came up the issue of the system of the way the Meralco was computing the rates, we already questioned it. Inaro was very vocal about it and I supported him also because we were talking about the same thing, okay? So, you know, for the last 10 years, if people heard us here, palagi nare-reklamo kami, parang talo na naman, 10 taon ito. Ha? Sinasabi na namin na may mga dokumento na kami, pagkatapos wala pang nangyayari. But, panalo tayo sa Asian Games, panalo tayo sa kuryente. itong bagong desisyon, hindi mo mabasa ito, November 12, 2019 pa ito. Pero alam na ng power industry that it was promulgated in October 8, 2019. Bago, this is the latest Supreme Court decision. Anong sabi nito? Anong magandang balita? Talagang Merry Christmas sa lahat. Why? Ang sinasabi nitong desisyon na ito, lahat na nakolekta ng Meralco, the last, it cost even during Hinaro's time when I was not yet part of it, isauli sa mga konsumante. Just imagine kung overstated yung mga rates na yon, sabihin natin, ballpark figure, kalahati ng nakobra sa mga konsumante sa Meralco, kailangan isauli nila.
Okay.
Okay?
Jojo, para ma-shortcut natin, explain mo yung overpricing sa transformer, overpricing sa post.
Oh, okay.
Yung dalawa lang, maintindihan na. At kung bakit ito nakatulong. Ano?
Okay.
Okay.
Ito nakatulong kasi ang sinasabi dito, kung kailangan least cost, hindi pwede na overpriced cost ang basihan ng kuryente. Itong sinasabi, transformer for example, sa Meralco, matagal na namin sinasabi sa ERC that the Meralco power transformers are overpriced by 500%. The poles are overpriced by 942%. Noon, ang negosyo ng Meralco, 12% ng historical capital mo. Kung ang capital mo ay 48 billion, you make 20% of 48 billion.
12%.
12%. Yan ang
not 20.
pinaglabanan talaga ni Hinaro eh.
Oo.
Bakit 18 lang yun?
Ngayon,
Sa
18 na.
2010, oo.
Oo.
Kasi meron siyang 15 plus may performance
Incentive
incentive
pa, oo.
na talagang manipulated lahat
Okay.
ito.
So, Jojo, kasi talagang lagi kong sinasummarize, no? So, itong nakaraang maraming dekada na, ang poste natin sa kuryente, transformer, and construction costs
Yes.
are overpriced. Hindi lang by 10 times, 20 times, kundi 500% or 900%. Yan isasubmit ng Meralco sa Energy Regulatory Commission. O base dito, sa overprice, of course hindi nila sinasabi overprice, pwede kaming kumita ng 18% or up to 19-20%. No? Today, 20 years ago, hindi pwede, 12% lang.
Yeah.
But 50 years ago, hindi pwede, 8% lang or even less.
Yes,
Anyway, tumaas ang kita nito mga to because of the Electric Power Reform Act. No?
Yes.
Anyway, we have 4 minutes for this segment. So, i-conclude natin, itong decision, ano na sabi?
Itong Supreme Court decision, kwene-question ni Hinaro ang sistema na mali. Sabi ng Supreme Court, mali ang sistema. Okay? Dapat 12%, hindi 18%.
Return on rate base.
Kailangan yung value ng equipo ng Meralco ay kung 48 billion, dapat 48 billion. Bakit
Overpriced.
din-evaluate sa 96 billion? So, isang araw lang diferensya, binigyan ng Meralco ng negosyo na walang talo, na ang walang dagdag na investment, 50 billion pesos. 18% of 50 billion pesos is a lot of money. Kaya that's the reason why our rates went up.
So, yan dahil sa desisyon ng ERC na payagan na pagbaguhin ang rate base. Ano? Okay, Jojo, I'll go to Rod. Rod, ikaw, anong reaction mo dito sa mga developments na ito?
Well, ang unang reaction ko lang is nangyari yan dahil nga i-privatize nila yan. Yung privatization actually, bago tuloy yan, kasi kailangan pag-aralan natin na nakaraan. Unang-una, desperado Pilipinas dahil nga minothball ni Cory Aquino. Alam mo, tinapon ng gobyerno doon? $2.3 billion. Tilagay
Yung
sa
nuclear
septic
power
tank.
plant, sinasabi.
Oo. Ang guarantor ng nuclear power plant ay napukor. Ngayon, ang unang-unang ginawa nila dyan is to regulate electricity. At ikalawa, dahil sa malaki ang napukor, hinati-hati nila yan. Ang isa nilang hinati dyan, yung transmission, nag-create sila ng WESM, ganyan, yung market ng pinaghati-hati yan. Ngayon, sa transmission lang, napakalaki na. yung sa transmission, yan ang pinakamalaking labas na investment ng China sa Pilipinas. 3.95 billion
dollars.
Pinakamalaki yun eh. Ngayon, inaangalan nila kung ano sinasabi nila na keso baka raw i-hack ito ng mga dayuhan. But ano mo yan, hindi, of course, sabihin na lang natin, it is possible, but China will not do that. Wala kayang investment yan. Do you think pasasabugin yung kanyang investment yan? No. If there is anybody who will hack that our transmission lines, malamang kalaban ng China. Most likely, hindi mangyayari. So, what I'm saying, itong nangyaring ito, mayroong batas doon ng privatization na yung IPIRA law requiring them to mag-IPO na at least minimum of 20% to 30%. 30% nga hinihingi sa kanila eh. Pero yung batas na yon, giving them 10 years, that cannot be extended because iyan ay palugit na yan, 10%, ano na yan eh. Yung 10 year, palugit na extension na yan. Kasi the law, our legislators should have made it specific na pag-approve ito, pwede na kayo mag-IPO pero binigyan pa ng 10 years. Ngayon, ang abogado na itong dalawang ito, humihingi ng extension. Pag nag-grant ng extension, parang ang abogado nag-amend ng batas. That should not be the case. Okay. Now, ang nangyari dito, ang China ay masyado naiipit dyan eh. Hindi ko pinagtatanggulan siya. Sinasabi ko lang objectively yan kasi pinag-aralan dapat ng gumawa ng IPIRA law kung ano nangyari dyan. Unang-una, alam nila ang China, State Grid Corporation ng China, gumagawa ng kuryente, involved sa kuryente. Ikalawa, at napakahalaga, state-owned pa yan. So, parang asiwa sa termino ng tinatawag ng privatization. Kaya kung privatization, hindi bibigay sa pribado, problema nga, dayuhan na, state pa rin. Ang nangyari, yun ang ikalawa. Ang ikalawa ng China, dapat yan. Hindi paano mo i-implement ng 20% sa China. Samantalang ang sasabihin ng China, sinunod ko yung batas ninyo, pero ang batas may invoke ng China, ang investment laws natin dito, pinapayagan nyo kami, in-invite nyo kami.
So, suma total, hindi gagawin ng China na...
Hindi gagawin lahat yan.
Magkaroon ng problema dyan. So, okay, we'll now go to our third segment. We'll take this break, and we will watch your show many years ago also here.
I just want people...
No, well, third part. We'll go to that. Okay, break tayo. Okay, bago natapos yung second segment natin, merong ipinapakitang numero si Ginoong Jojo Borja. GR number, let me see. I have to read it.
GR number, Supreme Court ito for lawyers and for
The public who want to
the
understand.
public. Kasi maintindihan nyo itong decision na ito eh. You don't have to be a lawyer to understand it, okay? GR number 226443, okay? Ma-access nyo yan sa mga computer nyo. Nakita ba?
GR number 226443.
Okay.
226443.
Okay. Yung sinasabi ko na isauli, very simple. I don't want to talk about the technicalities or the details.
We cannot because naturally our time on discussion on TV is short. No? So itong decision basically is selling Meralco. All this is wrong.
All is wrong.
You have to. We should review all these contracts which have been passed. What's that system?
PBR.
Yeah.
From the RORB to the technical na yan.
Yung RORB is return on rate base. That was the rule before, 12% maximum.
Okay.
Naging performance-based rate.
Nagiging
after the EPIRA.
Total of almost 18%. Now.
And then the provisional increase, I think that's one of the issues, di ba? Is that,
yes.
Yeah.
Now, ang sinasabi nitong decision na ito, wag muna mag-increase, surbahin mo nito, sauli muna mo yung pera. Ilang beses na tayo nag-increase. So, the increase now is...
Jojo, that's why I want to explain the provisional increase. In the past, magpipetition ng Meralco, sasabihin we have to hurry because we have to we have to implement this.
Yes.
The ERC, Energy Regulatory Commission, will say, okay, we provisionally approve it.
Oh.
Hindi pa nire-review lahat.
Oh.
Ano? So, paulit-ulit yan, pataas ng pataas
Yes.
ng singil, puro
The-
provisional.
The provisional approval, so you should decide after so many months, so isa uli ang pera. Ang problema lang hindi nag-decide, so naging interim,
Tuloy-tuloy.
10 taon na, walang sila uwi sa bagong sistema.
Okay, para maintindihan very quickly, how much do you think electricity will cost kung ma-implement na yan? From what is it today? 10 pesos per kilowatt, more or
Hindi
less?
lang yan.
Ha?
Tayo na may-ari ng Meralco.
Oo, yun tayong ano.
Kasi ang utang ng Meralco, hindi makabayad
Sa atin.
yung asset nila.
Yung
Okay.
utang na Meralco sa atin.
Yes. Okay.
okay.
Yung nakubra na isauli. Ang problema, meron pang kukubrahin for the next 40 years. Dapat tanggalin yun. Yun ay trilyon. Isauli yung nakolekta na kasi ang power transformer o equipo ng isang electric company ay ni-installment yan ng 50 years.
Okay. Let's get a reaction from Rod. Rod, may any reaction to this before I show two more videos?
Well, actually naman, wala naman akong ano doon. Yung sinasabi ni Mr. Borja, na dapat isauli kasi nirevisan nila yan Nirevisan nila from, ginawa nilang PBR yan performance based. Ang nangyari, yun na naging basihan nila para ma-deregulate ang kuryente. Sabi naman niya, actually, it began way back, nung bago pa yung PIRA law, there was already a law deregulating electricity. Ginawa lang official ng PBR na yan. Pero ang problema niyan, sila na nagdidict after that.
Well, alam mo, ito resulta din ng global politics. At that time, globalization, sponsored by the US, wanted to favor corporations kasi silang nag-i-invest sa mga corporation.
That's it.
So, nagbago ngayon ang mundo. Humina ng US.
Okay.
May bagong globalization under China sa RCEP. Doon sa Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, tinatanggal yung ISDR, no? Investor State Dispute Resolution, ISDR, na ang corporation pwedeng magkasuhan, can sue the state outside of its own court. Yan ang problema.
This is
Di ba?
very important. Buong bansa ito, hindi lang Meralco.
Oo.
Ang decision against Meralco is for everybody in
It
the
is
power
for.
industry.
Oo.
Okay.
But
Now,
a decision of the outside court for Meralco, yung arbitration like for Manila Water, is against us naman.
yes,
di ba?
yes. That's why they have a problem. ERC has a problem. And Meralco has a problem. Because may negosyo akong elektrisidad din Alam ko yung mga
kaya-
presyo Kung sabihin nila, ito ay 109 million. Ako, 25 million lang yan. O, bigyan ko kayo ng number,
Okay.
tawagin nyo.
Okay, si Mang Naro, whom you saw in the video earlier, is an accountant.
Yes.
So, alam niya yung mga figures. Pero si Jojo Borja, power operator din. He knows the real cost of the transformer, the poles, and so on. But let's move on to Magnaro ulit. Second part ng video niya. So we are parang recalling the struggle of Magnaro, and now the fruits are for you and us, everyone to enjoy. So.
Well, I would like first to thank Mr. Laurel and Mr. Butsunya, who are spearheading the attack on the price of irrational price hike of Meralco. To make things simple and understandable, let me just state that if the ERC only did its duty, we would not have these high rates. The ERC is mandated by the EPIRA or RA 9136 to enable the distributor utilities or Meralco to deliver electricity at the least cost and not at discriminatory. But contrary to that, it is the ERC who are encouraging to increase the price. How do they do it? In the present application that they filed with the ERC, which is to take effect on 2012 up to 2015, Meralco applied for the rate increase. But contrary to EPIRA, and unexplainably, one cannot understand why ERC itself mandated or ordered Meralco to increase the rates by 25%. That is a crime against the people. 25% is not a small joke, gentlemen, because the Meralco records of annual revenue requirement runs to about 50 to 170 billion, 50 to 70 billion, and to increase that by 25%, that means that the ERC has given a Christmas bonus to Meralco of about 10 billion for nothing.
And that is 10 billion less Christmas bonus
Yeah.
and gifts for our people, our
Yeah.
children, our grandchildren.
Yes. And not only that, we have there are many groups who are opposing Meralco's rates, like Bayan Muna, Gabriela, and many others. Nasicor, yes. And to their dismay, to our dismay, we were not able to succeed in any way. We only win in the courts, not in the ERC. Because if we will depend on the ERC, we can only expect increases in price. For example, let me give you a simple arithmetic so that it can be understandable. If you will look at the financial statements of Meralco, they always declare for the past so many years that their operations and maintenance expenses run to about 15 billion pesos a year. 15 billion. That covers all the expenses already. That is the cost of one of the electricity. Now if you divide that by the sales volume of about 28 billion gigawatt hours, the cost of electricity is only about 50 centavos per kilowatt hour. Now how much do they charge us? They charge us 120, 130 or 2 pesos per kilowatt hour.
Now I remember earlier Rod Kapunan was mentioning Sefi Padua. They were together in the LAMP, Lawyers Against Meralco Power or Prices.
Yes.
So, okay. Now I'll just rush the other video. So you will see Jojo Borja fighting on this power issue many years ago. So let's just roll this so we will conclude our discussion.
Basically, our argument why we are winning is because the simple overpricing. Because the business of electricity is whatever your investment is, you make 18% out of it.
Today,
But-
today 18%.
Today.
Before it was 12%.
12%.
And before that it was 8%.
Yes.
And during your father's time, maybe it was 5%.
We were only making about 3%.
3%.
Okay. Even if we were allowed 12%, we would be very lucky if we make 5%. But the EPIRA changed that all. After EPIRA, sure na yung 18%. Plus, the problem is, even the 18% was not enough for them. What they did, they overpriced the purchase of their equipments by several hundreds of percent. I can say this, that what they were doing was, for example, if a transformer costs 25 million pesos only, and they should make only 18% of 25 billion pesos, they overpriced it to 107 million pesos. So instead of making only 18% out of 25 million, they were making 18% out of 107 million. But that is only one transformer. What I'm saying is, when they say that the total capital expenditures would be 40 billion, actually, it only cost them 5 billion pesos. They were overpricing it by several hundreds of percent.
Yung transformer by 500%.
Percent.
Yung electric poles.
The electric poles, the one you see in the, what do you call DB Boulevard?
Oh, okay.
Okay. The stand-alone poles, 95-footer, should only cost 280,000 pesos. You know what they charge consumers? Because everything is passed on to consumers. Per pole, they charge 1.750 million pesos, an overprice of 942%. And that is documented. That is why Meralco cannot face the truth. They have been trying to delay, and that's why the rates now are only interim, because they refuse to have it reviewed. Because if the rates will be reviewed and the rates of the fourth regulatory period, which starts in 2016, the rates will drastically go down. It should go down to less than 1 peso or close to 80 centavos per kilowatt hour.
So, mas malinaw yung explanation mo noon. But we have 2 minutes left, no? So,
Yeah.
we'll conclude. The important
Yes.
thing is we showed our history
Yes.
of this fight, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And Rod Kapunan is trying to explain, which we will discuss in the future, the complications that this privatization made and puts us in an embarrassing position with other countries like China, whom we invite to join, and then we try to mess it up. But let's now go to your concluding remarks each. Jojo, please.
Yes, this is the one that finally tells that tama sila si Luwalhati at saka si Borja at saka si Mentong. Because we were
Tsaka
talking about
RJ
it.
Havellana,
Biliana,
Butch,
and everybody, because we were here
Cunha,
together in
and so-
2010, 2011. So, that's it. Supreme Court, unanimous, 13 Supreme Court justices,
Okay.
unanimous.
So, Jojo, I have to help you conclude that by thanking President Duterte.
Of course, yes.
And finally also, Carpio is doing one thing
yes,
right.
right.
Because this is his goodbye, so he wants to show something very
Yes.
good. Rod, your last...
Well, my only conclusion to that is that we should not have invited China only to embarrass him. You know, it's unfair because China has nothing to do, for instance, with this profit and also this issuance of IPO. That is the problem of our domestic law, and China can invoke the investment in the investment law that we have, which is separate. We invited them in good faith because we were so desperate to sell
That's right.
transmission, and sila lang ang buyer. So what's the problem?
Okay, now we have run out of time, so you have to tune in again next week for the continuation of discussions of all these issues. Thank you very much and have a good week ahead of you.